I trapped a ghost in a shed with a shovel, but then this happened. Spooky encounter story time. 25 years ago I moved in with my cousin and her roommate/coworker Jose. The house was an old cement block 3-bedroom 1-bath house with a large fenced yard. He had 2 very large German shepherds that lived there and were mostly in the yard. The house is in Carmel, Florida in a shitty, packed suburban neighborhood. Nothing special, rent was cheap. $50 a week from what I remember, and the house was clean. Plus my cousin lived there too. So I moved in. We all got along well. Everyone worked. We pretty much kept to ourselves and saw each other for a few minutes here and there. I lived there for about 6 months. This is the story of what caused me to move out. On a weekend night we all happened to be off from work. We decided to invite some friends over from the pool hall that we frequented, and Jose invited some people over that they worked with at the pharmaceutical lab. There were probably 20 people there total. We played music and did what young people